Batman has been many things over the years. He's been gothic, he's been gritty, he's been camp, he's been psychological. He's been a detective, a warrior, a symbol of fear, and on one very strange occasion, part of a toy brick comedy. But across all these very different versions, one question still hangs over Gotham like a storm cloud. Which Batman movies are actually the best? So today we're counting down the top 10 Batman movies, and to make this ranking as fair as possible, we didn't just pull this out of thin air. We combined scores from IMDb, Letterboxd, Rotten Tomatoes and other online movie rating sites, converted them into percentages, averaged them together and used that final score to build the countdown. So this is a mix of fan opinion, critical response and overall audience reception. Starting at number 10, here are the Batman movies that rose to the top. Number 10, Batman Forever from 1995. Directed by Joel Schumacher, Batman Forever stars Val Kilmer as Bruce Wayne and Batman, with Chris O'Donnell as Dick Grayson and Robin, Jim Carrey as the Riddler, Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face and Nicole Kidman as Dr. Chase Meridian. The film follows Batman as he battles two flamboyant villains whilst also taking on the responsibility of a young acrobat whose family has been murdered, setting up the arrival of Robin. Coming after Tim Burton's darker films, this one shifts Gotham into something much brighter, louder and far more exaggerated. For some fans, that exact energy is why the film still has charm. It's colourful, fast moving, weirdly watchable and full of huge performances that make it stand out from the rest of the franchise. Jim Carrey in particular goes absolutely wild as the Riddler, and for some people that's a plus. But for others, Batman Forever is where the series started losing its balance, trading atmosphere and character depth for cartoon excess. It's not universally disliked, but it's definitely one of the more divisive Batman films, caught somewhere between gothic seriousness and full-blown camp. Number 9. Justice League 2017, directed by Zack Snyder with a theatrical version also heavily reshaped by Joss Whedon. Justice League stars Ben Affleck as Batman alongside Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, Henry Cavill as Superman, Ezra Miller as The Flash, Jason Momoa as Aquaman and Ray Fisher as Cyborg. The plot sees Bruce Wayne trying to assemble a team of heroes after Superman's death as a new global threat emerges in the form of Steppenwolf. This is a Batman movie only in the broadest sense, because Bruce is really functioning here as a strategist, recruiter and elder statesman of a wider DC universe. That makes it a strange one in the Batman canon. Some fans enjoy seeing an older, more collaborative Batman trying to become something more hopeful after the brutality of Batman vs Superman. Affleck has had a solid screen presence in the role, and there are flashes of a version of Batman that could have been really compelling. But the theatrical cut of Justice League is still remembered as compromised, rushed and uneven in tone, with thin villain work and the sense of two different movies stitched together. Batman isn't the problem here, but the film around him never fully comes together. Number 8. Batman the Movie from 1966. Directed by Leslie H. Martinson, Batman the Movie stars Adam West as Batman, Burt Ward as Robin, with a villain dream team that includes Cesar Romero as the Joker, Burgess Meredith as the Penguin, Frank Gorshin as the Riddler and Lee Merriweather as Catwoman. Based on the hit TV show, the film sees Batman and Robin taking on all four villains at once as they attempt to foil a bizarre plot involving dehydrated world leaders, absurd gadgets and comic book chaos. It's pure Silver Age Batman brought to life with complete sincerity and total silliness. What makes the film endure is that it never apologises for what it is. Adam West plays Batman as noble, serious and utterly committed, even when the material is gloriously ridiculous. For many fans, that's exactly the appeal. This is Batman as pop art entertainment, bright and earnest and completely unlike the darker versions that would follow. Some find it too campy to sit comfortably alongside the modern films, but it remains a hugely important part of Batman's screen history. Without this version, Batman's cultural legacy on the film and television would look very different. Number 7. Batman Returns from 1992. Directed by Tim Burton, Batman Returns sees Michael Keaton return as Bruce Wayne and Batman, while Danny DeVito plays the Penguin, Michelle Pfeiffer plays Catwoman, and Christopher Walken appears as the sinister Max Schreck. The story takes place during Christmas in Gotham as Batman faces the rise of a grotesque political outsider in Oswald Cobblepot, while becoming entangled with Selina Kyle, whose transformation into Catwoman gives the film much of its emotional intensity. It's a sequel, but it feels even more like a Tim Burton dream or nightmare than the first film. A lot of fans adore Batman Returns because it's so distinctive. It's moody, it's twisted, romantic, tragic, and often downright bizarre, with Pfeiffer's Catwoman still standing as one of the most iconic performances in any comic book movie. The production design and atmosphere are incredible, and the film feels like a genuine auteur blockbuster. But it's also one of those Batman movies where some viewers feel Batman himself becomes less interesting than the villains around him. Even so, for many people, that darkness and strangeness is exactly what makes it such a memorable entry in the franchise. Number 6. Batman 1989. Directed by Tim Burton, Batman stars Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne and Batman, Jack Nicholson as the Joker, Kim Basinger as Vicky Vale, and Michael Gough as Alfred. The film follows Gotham's emergence under the shadow of a new vigilante just as the Joker rises to power, turning the city into his own stage of madness. More than just a comic book adaptation, this was the film that redefined Batman for a whole generation, pulling him away from the camp image many still associated with the 1960s series. The cultural importance is a huge part of why the film still ranks so highly. Keaton brought a brooding, eccentric quality to Bruce Wayne that many doubters didn't expect, while Burton's Gotham felt stylised, dangerous, and cinematic in a way superhero films rarely had before. Nicholson's Joker is so charismatic that he almost takes over the movie, and some fans do think Batman himself gets pushed slightly to the side because of that. But in terms of influence, style, music, production design, and sheer legacy, Batman remains one of the defining superhero films ever made. We've made it to the top 5, and now I want to hear from you. Who is your favourite Batman actor? Drop your choice in the comments right now, and while you're down there, make sure to like this video and subscribe to WN Movie Talk for more movie related content. And let's keep climbing towards number 1. Number 5, the Lego Batman movie from 2017. Directed by Chris McKay, the Lego Batman movie features Will Arnett voicing Batman, with Michael Cera as Robin, Rosario Dawson as Barbara Gordon, Ray Fiennes as Alfred, and Zach Galifianakis as the Joker. The film plays as both a loving parody and a surprisingly affectionate celebration of Batman's entire cinematic history. The plot follows Batman as he resists emotional connection, refuses to acknowledge his accidental family, and faces the Joker in a story that turns out to be as much about loneliness and vulnerability as it is about action and jokes. This one works because it understands Batman deeply while still making fun of him. It pokes at the character's endless brooding, his emotional repression, and the absurdity of the mythology, but it does so with real affection rather than cynicism. Fans love how cleverly it references decades of Batman history, from the serious films to the sillier eras, and it manages to be funny, energetic, and unexpectedly heartfelt all at once. Some traditionalists may not want an animated copy this high on the list, but the scores don't lie. Audiences and critics really responded to this movie. Number 4. Batman Begins. Directed by Christopher Nolan, Batman Begins stars Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne alongside Michael Caine as Alfred, Gary Oldman as Jim Gordon, Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul, Cillian Murphy as Scarecrow, and Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox. The film tells the origin of the Batman in full, following Bruce from childhood trauma through his training and eventual return to Gotham, where he chooses to become a symbol that can strike fear into criminals. Rather than rush into the suit and gadgets, the film carefully builds the psychology and the philosophy behind Batman's creation. That grounded, methodical approach is exactly why so many fans still hold it in such high regard. Batman Begins made Batman feel believable again after the exaggerated spectacle of the Schumacher years, while still preserving the mythic power of the character. Bale is intense and committed, the supporting cast is exceptional, and Gotham feels both realistic and threatening. Some fans even rank this above the other Nolan films because it's such a complete and disciplined origin story. It might be less flashy than what came after, but it's one of the most solidly constructed Batman films ever made. Number 3, The Dark Knight Rises 2012. Directed by Christopher Nolan, The Dark Knight Rises brings back Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne, joined by Tom Hardy as Bane, Anne Hathaway as Selina Kyle, Gary Oldman reprising his role as Gordon, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt as John Blake. Set years after Batman has disappeared, the story finds Bruce physically broken and emotionally withdrawn until Bane arrives to tear Gotham apart and force Batman into one last reckoning. It's the biggest, most operatic film in Nolan's trilogy, determined to end Bruce Wayne's story on an epic scale. Fans tend to admire the ambition here. The film feels huge, emotionally and genuinely interested in giving Bruce Wayne an ending rather than just another adventure. Hathaway's Catwoman is excellent, Bane is unforgettable as a physical and vocal presence, and the movie has a sense of event scale that few superhero films can match. But at the same time, some fans point out that the plotting is messier than the earlier Nolan films, and it inevitably lives in the shadow of The Dark Knight. Before we hit the final two, now's the time to jump into the comments and vote for your favourite Batman actor if you haven't already done so. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe to WN Movie Talk and hit like before we reveal the 2 top Batman movies. Number 2, The Batman from 2022. Directed by Matt Reeves, The Batman stars Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne and Batman, Zoe Kravitz as Selina Kyle, Paul Dano as the Riddler, Jeffrey Wright as James Gordon, Colin Farrell as the Penguin, and Andy Serkis as Alfred. Set in Batman's second year as a vigilante, the film follows him as he investigates a string of murders committed by the Riddler, uncovering a web of corruption that touches Gotham's political elite and Bruce's own family history. It leans heavily into noir, detective fiction, and psychological damage. What really won fans over is that the Batman embraces something the movies had often sidelined: Batman as an investigator. Pattinson plays him as obsessive, bruised, isolated, and deeply uncertain about what Batman is actually meant to be, which gives the film a strong emotional arc underneath all the rain-soaked style. The visuals are stunning, the tone is immersive, and it feels like a real Gotham nightmare. Some viewers think it's too long and occasionally too self-serious, but for many fans, this was one of the most refreshing and fully realised Batman interpretations in years. Which brings us finally to number 1, everyone's favourite Batman movie, The Dark Knight from 2008. Christopher Nolan's second entry in his Dark Knight trilogy, again starring Christian Bale, but this time featuring Heath Ledger as the Joker and Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent. The film follows Batman, Gordon and Dent as they try to crush organised crime in Gotham, only for the Joker to emerge as an agent of pure chaos who sets out to corrupt the city's soul. What begins as a crime war becomes a moral nightmare, forcing Batman to confront not just an enemy, but the limits of his own mission. The film sits firmly at the top because it doesn't just work as a Batman movie, it works as great cinema, full stop. Ledger's Joker is iconic, but the movie's greatness goes beyond a single performance. Bale's Batman is pushed to his breaking point. Eckhart gives Harvey Dent real tragedy, and Nolan directs the whole thing with an intensity that never lets up. It's thrilling, intelligent, emotionally heavy, and endlessly rewatchable. For many fans, this isn't just the best Batman movie ever made, it's possibly the greatest comic book film of all time.